of Ohio, who is going to be talking to us about campaign websites and technology. And it looks like her screen is shared. Beautiful.
Looking good, Felina.
Yay.
That's a really nice
Felina.
picture.
And you take it away, Felina. The next 40 minutes are yours.
Okay. So my section is about to go over, or my module is about to go over campaign websites and technology. I am the Ohio Green Party treasurer and webmaster. I have a network administration degree, and I've been in web administration since MySpace, and then I decided to get a degree in it.
MySpace.
So,
Pause 1 second.
Really?
I want to mute everyone and then unmute you. So hold on a second.
Okay.
oh,
You should be good.
all right. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. So I'm Felina Farley. I'm the Ohio Green Party treasurer and webmaster, and I'm also on the National Media Committee and Black Caucus. And I'm about to go over the next module of campaign website and technology. So let me go here. First, oops, I didn't mean to go that far. So first you have the planning the website, and then we're going to go into research and design, then we're going to go into researching your competitors' web presence, so your competition, your vision and purpose, and then your technology options. Okay. So first is planning the site. How soon the website should be developed, time spent weekly on the website, your domain names, and your color schemes. Oh, now let me pause it right here. So the first thing you want to do, which a lot of people do not do when it comes to their website, is sketching your website. Now, you should always do this before you pick out a template, because you'll be more dependent on the template than what you want your website to really look like. And I had created this back in 2014 when I took over the Ohio Greens website to let them know this is pretty much the outline of how I want the home page to look. And I created this with Google Drawing. So it's not something complicated. You can draw it by hand. You just want to get a basic idea of where you want certain things to be. Where do you want your social media reference links at the top? Do you want your logo in the middle or on the left side? The order of your pages. Do you want a big picture scrolling in the right to be eye-catching versus on the side? Which side do you want your news articles and press releases to be? Do you want it to be on the left side versus the right side? Do you want sidebars on both sides versus one side? And what are in those sidebars? And once you get all of this laid down, you will focus on templates when it comes to functionality, not on how they look, because you already have a basic idea of how you want your website to look. So you're looking at templates more of like, is it friendly for vision impaired or hearing impaired? You're looking at, does it have stroll down or landing page options? You're looking at functionality. You're not looking at how does it look at this point, because you already have that basic idea down. And many web designers wish a lot of their clients did this just basic drawing of what they want their website to look, because then the finished product is more satisfying for the client. So it's not a matter of just taking a template and just changing the color from red to green. It's more of like, where do I want everything to be? How do I want the basic outline of each page to look? And if you do this first, you'll have an easier time creating your website once you have this drawn down. And we call this storyboarding. And a lot of, even in the animation department, they do this type of thing, and it applies to websites as well. So you want to storyboard your website. Just use drawing, or just use OneNote or any type of drawing tool just to draw. You see, it's not even perfect. I got some lines going on the outside because I just hand drew it with Google Drawing just to have a basic outline of where and the certain modules and sections of each little section I can think of. Okay. Then next, always look at how your competitors in your that you're running in the race for, what do their websites look like, and you know, how do they have everything set up? Do they have a multilingual option? Like, does it translate in Spanish, or does it have the magnifying glass for the visual impaired, where they can magnify the text, or, you know, make it bigger, or anything like that? Those type of features are very important. So you want to look at what your competitor's website is, if you could see if they just used the template versus if they had created it completely from scratch with a designer. Does it seem like it was just put together too quickly without not a lot of thought into it, and how you can take advantage of that? There's a lot of things you can learn by looking at your competitor's website. Like this one, for example, this is a very old website, but it's a little static with just a picture. Then it was like, well, I'm going to have a picture scroll instead of just one picture, stuff like that. And those are the type of things that are very important when it comes to getting your campaign website together. If you're the first one in the game and early, you don't have any competition yet, you can also look at other websites from previous years. I think the FEC has an archive of federal candidates, their websites, they archive them. You can also go through archives of previous campaign websites, even at the federal level. Okay. And then you want to go into your vision and purpose. Let's see here. Deliverables, your marketing plan, your donation plan, and your IT strategy. Now, your deliverables is that's the resume part of your campaign. What are you offering to the voter? Make sure you have all those things broken down for everything of your campaign. So you want to make sure it's really good, and then you want to have your marketing plan. Especially now with the COVID-19, you might have to focus on a strong online marketing plan, your donation plan, and your IT strategy, because once you create your team, you want to have your IT strategy for your matrix. And I'm going to go more detail about the metrics probably at our presidential convention, but I'm going to go over a few things about how important measuring your matrix is when it comes to your deliverables and your strategies. Okay. Next is now, once you have your website down, there are some certain things that you might need to add to your website to help you track your matrix. I keep saying matrix for some reason today, you guys. Sorry about that. Your metrics. And there's a lot of different tools at your disposal for your website to help measure the metrics in your campaign. There's MailChimp, Zoho, HubSpot, Click and Pledge, Nation Builder, Civi CRM, Salesforce. There's plenty of them out there. There's some that are free. There are some that are paid to use. There are some that are considered more user-friendly than others, but in the end, a CRM is a relationship management system. And it depends on how you use your CRM. And it will only deliver if you have what you want to measure down to the last click you could think of. And that is why a lot of people say that CRMs, or customer relationship management systems, are very hard on users to get a grasp of, because it's built to measure every possible thing you can imagine to measure. Whether it's phone banking, whether it's did they click on the donation button versus did they click on the polluted water that you had hyperlinked to the donation page to stop polluting the water in a local area. And you need to know that metric so you can say, okay, the donation button is not working as well as the picture of polluted water to get people donating, and you need that information. And that's where the CRM comes in handy, because you need to be tracking the online engagement. But the biggest problem with CRMs, and I cannot stress this enough, is your campaign, the users themselves that are using your campaign, CRM. And what a lot of people don't do is measure the users of the system itself. So you have to make sure that everyone in your campaign that is using the system, whether it's the treasurer tracking donations or the your fundraiser, who's ever in charge of fundraiser, is tracking everything with your system that in your website, so everything is in one place. And that is the most, I guess, the difficult thing that a lot of people have a problem with, is that because it's not it's not really easy to get a hang of. So you have to focus on training your campaign base on how to record everything you can possibly think of. And I will give an example with our state website CRM with Civi and after this. Then you want to link these metrics with your strategic plan. And you want to think of what is the overall goal of what you want your CRM to do. Do you want to increase donation revenue, increase average order size for branded merchandise? So do you want to measure how to get people to buy 2 T-shirts and a bumper sticker versus just buying the bumper sticker? Decrease ballot access petitioning cost for your candidacy. You might be wanting to measure that, like what's working, what isn't when it comes to getting ballot access. Improving your voter-based retention in the party with your campaign, or you want to measure the decreasing your response time to inquiries. These are the type of things you're supposed to be having measurable with a CRM and a campaign period. You have to have these sort of metrics laid down, and it makes it a lot easier to put your CRM together and get more people to use it once they see it's producing the results you need and it's increasing your base for your campaign. And then you want to always have your table of the activists that's involved in your website, in person, how many greens versus just plain community activists, your techs, and your nonprofits. All of these things are important to a campaign, believe it or not, especially when you have your team together and you know exactly who's in charge of what and so forth. So when it comes to, let me get out of this presentation here because that's pretty much the end of mine, because usually when it comes to websites, it's much easier for you to see what I'm explaining instead of just me explaining it. So the best way I usually start off is just you're actually, okay, how do I record the metrics of my campaign? And it's usually recorded by activity, and each CRM has a different way of trying to get the users more engaged and using the system. Usually like Nation Builder says missions, Civi uses just recording activity, and Zoho is the same way. So for me, usually I start off with focusing on your activity. So there are basic things that are already built into CRMs, door knocking, phone calls, and stuff like that. Some things you may need to add. So I jotted down some activities I did need to add to CRM, like training. That doesn't come as default. You may want to add that activity type in. Interviews, proposals, chat activity, media coverage, and a workshop. So these are some activity types you can add to any type of CRM. And then the statuses: tentative, no-show, rejected, unreachable, not required, available. These are some other activities that are that I added that does not come as default. Like the default ones are complete or left message. Developers try to give you the basics, and the basics are in there. These are just some extra activity that you can add to any CRM that might not come as default, that is important for a campaign to track. So just to give an example, let's see, our co-chair for the state, Nathan, we had chat activity on Facebook about a press release for COVID-19 and when that was going to be completed and released on the website. So this is me adding activity of any type of interaction. So here are activity types that you can add. So these are some of the ones that are default, like volunteer activity, a meeting, a phone call, a letter of inquiry, a proposal. These are the ones I added at the bottom. So I add chat activity, and I'm adding it, and I'm going to say, just to make sure I don't send anyone an email. So I'm going to say it's with myself, and I'm going to assign it to myself. So people are like, Felina, why are you sending me emails about something we already talked about? So I'm going to say this is a press release plan. Okay. I'm going to say, oh yeah, this is for that X. So I'm going to say this is press releases. I'm just going to say Facebook here. And this was, I think this was in April. I'll just say that it was on the 27th. And we chatted for about 15 minutes. Now, when it comes to status, like I said, some of these are predated in there, but I'm going to say this is completed because I already had this conversation. And details, I can just copy paste the chat record in here. And let's say I need to schedule a follow-up. Let's see, what should I say? Report. And I'm going to also assign that to me because I don't want anybody to be like, why am I getting these emails? Okay. So, and then I can also do like repeated activity. I can add attachments, like adding the document of the press release here, stuff like that. And the great thing about this type of system is that you want to make sure your campaign team is using this system all the time for everything. I use it it tracks everything. Everything you can think of, it will track. These are all the activities I've been doing forever. And then I can pull the reports of the activity reports. I can pull how many phone calls, phone banking, the responses of the phone banking, the hang-ups, everything like that. And once more people are using this system for your campaign, it's awesome. But if you don't know what you're measuring, if you don't know your metrics, it can be very overwhelming. That's why it's very important that you have your strategy down to a T, and usually you start planning this stuff a year ahead of time for any type of campaign, even if it's local. This is the type of things you want to get your have together, not just color schemes in the resume part, but really your outreach. This is part of your outreach plan. It has to be done. Just focusing on the resume part of your website does not really do what you need it to do when it comes to tracking every possible thing you can think of to track, to improve your campaign, to get your messages out, to see who's responding to media, to see who's responding to press releases, to see who's opening your press releases, everything, okay? And I think, yeah, that's about it for me. I guess we could start opening the calls here, or opening the calls, question and answering at this point. Okay, you're still muted.
I just unmuted everyone, including myself.
Okay.
And so if you'd like to ask a question, either put yourself on stack in the chat box or just start talking and we'll see how that goes. There's definitely a lot of chat in the chat box about Nation Builder versus Civi CRM. So I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. And then if not, we'll put John and then the usgreens.info guy whose name I forgot.
Okay, well, when it comes to proprietary software, we all know that, it's part of our, the Green Party's platform that open source is preferred. And that's pretty much why I stick with Civi CRM, just like the Global Greens and the UK use Civi CRM. So it depends on the experience of users. When it comes to open source, it is best to, when you recruit someone to design a website, make sure you're looking for someone, especially when it comes to college students, that are looking to expand their resume, because that is very important. I've gotten a lot of referrals just because I have the Ohio Greens website as the administrator on my LinkedIn profile, and you'll be surprised how many people that are in the tech field that need these types of things to websites to build up their portfolio, and they will do this for free because they're trying to establish their portfolio. So if you're looking for someone that's really good with web design, but you don't have the money to pay them for it, the college students that are looking to build their portfolios is the first place I would go. So, and especially with open source, because that's where a lot of companies hire real skills from. Let me expand.
Mute, Hillary. Hillary, unmute. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to Hillary.
Sorry, there was some background noise, so I was getting a little mute happy there. Sorry, John, you were next on staff. John F.
Hi, thank you, Felena. And my question is, do you or set up CVCRM instances that I could use for my campaign and pay you, or can you recommend someone to do that?
Well, CVCRM only works with 3 platforms for websites. That's WordPress, Drupal, and Joomla. Right now, I'm with Drupal. Drupal is a little bit more complex than WordPress, but the most common, and when it comes to WordPress, it's one of those things that you're just adding it as an extension, and it's the same thing with Drupal and Joomla. You're just adding the CVCRM as an extension, just like you would add a PayPal extension to your website for donations. So it is easy to install like that, just like you would install PayPal in WordPress. So there's some tutorials. The installation is pretty easy. It's just that, you know, like I said, it's the user base and the adaption of actually using the system that takes some time.
One follow-up. I've got a Drupal website. Do I have to worry about CVCRM as an extension slowing down the website?
No, not really, because it's not. The only thing it's really just adding a lot of files, but it doesn't use a lot of resources when it comes to the blog part of your website takes more resources than CRMs do, because CRM is more of the internal part for the back end for the users for your campaign, versus the public facing website with your press releases and blogs and comments that might come in. That's the resource hog, the public part of the website, not the back end. Unless you have a team of 100 people. Then it'll become a resource. Right. Yeah. So.
I think Jeff Perez was on staff next.
Yeah, this is like a threefold question. For someone that's not tech or computer savvy, are these programs quote unquote idiot proof, user friendly? And do these programs have mandatory arbitration clauses that you know of, and how can we avoid this? Over.
Now, you mean like terms and conditions on what you could do with the software exactly?
No, not terms and conditions. Some of these softwares have a mandatory arbitration clause that they force us to sign, that we waive our rights to class action suits or any other legal actions. Can we avoid that? And how can we avoid those provisions?
Well, those provisions sounds like proprietary software versus open source. So there are no, I don't think there's any rules for Civi CRM. That might be something with Nation Builder that I'm not familiar with. We use Nation Builder nationally. It's just that those type of details I'm not sure about because I stick to open source to avoid those type of legal issues.
Yeah.
So, because it's the free code that everyone uses, so that's the main reason why that's part of our platform is open source to avoid those type of things. And there's other open source more freely available like Zoho and HubSpot that also don't have those type of restrictions when it comes to their software because it's not proprietary as well.
Okay, great. And can you answer the idiot-proof question?
There's no real way to make something idiot-proof without restricting some of the capabilities. It's almost like if you make something too easy, sure, it might work for a lot of the majority, but then it gets to the point where that majority will complain that they can't do something. And they're complaining that they can't do something because you took that can't away just to make it easier for them to use. So that is the problem with CRM. And this is not just political CRM. I've worked with a pest control CRM, which was even more complex than the political CRMs we're using, because in pest control, you have to have that CRM track chemical use and air quality, and can you treat at a certain spot, and everything you can think of. And it's way more complex than what that CRM is tracking in pest control than a CRM that we're using that's tracking political activity. So that's why I'm saying the CRM part of it, they're all very complex. It doesn't matter if it's the political one. There's CRMs for everything. You can make a CRM for any business and political activity, so, and nonprofit. So they're all very complex depending on what you're tracking.
Okay, great. I know we have a lot more people in the stack. I don't know that we're going to get time for everyone, but I think, is it Christian? Christopher
Lozinski.
Yes.
Hi.
You are next.
Just very quickly, I see a lot of Green Party politicians who don't even have a website. It seems like everyone is putting up their own version. What do you think of the idea of having like a shrink wrap website where they put in their own photograph, their own Twitter, Instagram IDs, a bit of text, and they've got their own site? Would that be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of political templates out there that just plug and play. That's why I mentioned at the beginning, just draw out what you want your website to look first. Just draw it out. Just look at other campaign websites and just get an idea of what exactly how you want your website to look, because there are a vast amount of political templates out there where you can plug and chug. But then once you plug and chug, once you have those basic, like just filling out the about and pictures and everything, then you'll start rearranging stuff around how you really want it to look. So it just won't look like just a carbon copy of thousands of websites that's using the same template. So that is the main thing about templates. It's like you can start off with a template, but if you didn't draw it out first, then it's just going to just be this carbon copy thing, and you don't have any uniqueness to your website. And that hurts your traffic a little bit if you don't have something unique look to it.
Okay.
Okay, great. I think we're going to give Dave Collins the final word and question, and then we're going to wrap it up. And this time between modules, we will give people a bathroom break / water break or whatever they need. So Dave Collins.
This is about a minute of soapboxing that's disguised as a question.
Thanks for the warning.
Through the combination of all the things about building a team and the fundraising and now the website, and then you cross the line when you start talking about tracking every blessed thing. This is not that I disagree with it, but many of us, as we've hinted at, have to campaign within certain means that are basically our limits in terms of time, money, and patience. And I'd like to make sure that everybody here understands that you don't, there's what you can do, what you should do, and what you must do. And everything that we're prescribing in this workshop is what you should do. Don't think of it as a must and think if I can't accomplish all of this, I shouldn't even try. I would like to, and the question part of it is, do y'all agree with that? Or because I've missed a lot of these workshops because I think, oh, they're just gonna tell me about all these things I don't have time or money to do.
Well, it's more focused on that team effort. If it seems overwhelming, that's a lot of what hurts us the most is that the one-man show of campaigns that a lot of people struggle with, and that is usually the main reason why a lot of this seems overwhelming, when this is specifically just to get a basic understanding of each piece and knowing who to put in that piece on your team. Mm-hmm. And that's usually the problem many candidates, many of our candidates fall victim to, is not having that good solid team for all these different facets.
I agree with you there. It's just some of us don't have the time even to build or maintain that team. We want to be a name on the ballot. We want to be able to do what we can within our limits. And yeah, it's lovely that you have all these tools available, but honestly, I have the same complaint about Nation Builder, is that if you're really running an active, thriving party, somebody's going to be there with their finger on Nation Builder for 40 hours a week. It is a full-time job just keeping up with all of that stuff. And if you're talking about doing this for each individual campaign, yeah, it would be great if we were in a position to do all this. Many of us have real jobs and real lives and can't really devote the time. I mean, does that mean that we really shouldn't be running for office?
No, that is still a planning issue. When people say devote the time, how much time a day, how many minutes? You'd be surprised on how much gets done 15 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. Especially on the website part, if everyone is putting in 15 minutes a day on the campaign website, you get so much done, because this is how web administrators operate. It's called, I don't know if any of you familiar with this acronym, but it's called Scrum. And Scrum Master is one of those things where every day when the web team are developing an application or something for the website, every day they meet for 15 minutes, go over the task for that day, and that's it. And they don't go past that 15 minutes. They don't let it drag. They just focus on to do, and that's it. And you'd be surprised on how effective 15 minutes a day is versus an hour call a week. The 15 minutes a day when it comes to websites is actually more effective than meeting once a week. Mm-hmm. So the time part when it comes to this web piece is very small increments. Very small increments, because we work in sprints.
Finding people who have 15 minutes at the same time as everybody else, and when everybody's trying to do everything.
Right, it's never done at the same time.
Yeah, and It's obviously
That's always done in sprints.
yeah, I mean, it's obviously a balance, and I think, you know, David, you know, whatever you can do is better than what, like, not. At the same time, I think we, as a whole, across the party, need to sort of step up our game and to, you know, to put more time and effort, quite frankly. And that's not a comment about you and your particular race. It's just across the board. And so, you know, we need to constantly be striving to do better. And I think a lot of the comments in the chat box were spot on about really mobilizing and hopefully relying on your local party and people who have done this before so that it's not all on you to invent the wheel. But speaking of time, we're definitely over and we need to switch to our next